1 week, I got 2 more and I'm dead on my feet. That old clock is stuck in time. 5 o'clock, I punch out. My boss says, where you going now? And I begin to smile. You can catch me down at the yacht club, drinking champagne out of a beer mug, maybe sipping on $3 wine. Dress code is thin tops, cheap sunglasses and a tank top, or whatever you wear will be just fine. Having fun in the sun down at the yacht club. Membership to get in. The only sign says where you been, and the beers are cold and tall. There's a steel drum band playing island tunes and some pirates over in a corner booth. We're all having a ball tonight down at the yacht club, drinking cold rum out of a beer mug, cutting loose and feeling fine. Dress code is flip-flops, cheap sunglasses and a tank top, or whatever you wear will be just fine. We're going all night long down at the yacht club. For it to end, but when it does, I'll say again. You can catch me down at the yacht pub, drinking champagne out of a beer mug, maybe sipping on $3 wine. Dress code is flip-flops, cheap sunglasses and tank top, or whatever you wear will be just fine. Having fun in the sun down at the yacht pub. Rum-a-getting buckets. Are all empty and the stores are all closed. I've got a rip in my shirt and I'm trying to get home. The money I had was a fool's time to shine, and buy the whole bar around just before closing time. It ain't good tale I have that's worth being told, starting with something in silver or gold. There are some things that can't be undone. It all happened once upon a bottle of rum. It all happened once upon a bottle of rum. I sailed off to find what I just hadn't found, living my life in my little hometown.
You're listening to the Jams and Coffee Morning Show. with your host, Brad Brock.
That's right. Good morning, jammers, and welcome to Jams and Coffee here in the morning. I am your host, Brad Brock, and it's great to be here. Always good to wake up on this side of the dirt. And I hope that you're enjoying your morning as well. You got yourself a nice hot cup of Joe to start your day. Delicious. Thank you for tuning in over on YouTube, Facebook, or listening in on JNC Radio via the LIVE365 Radio App. Yeah, it's Wednesday. Can you believe that we're already midway through the week? I feel like the days just keep coming and they don't stop coming. That was a little Smash Mouth reference. Philip, thank you. Thank you for always letting me know of my graceful tendencies. You know, I put it in a bit of a heavier cup today. I'm going to try not to spill coffee everywhere. That was pretty embarrassing. And now this whole area smells like coffee. Which I guess it could be worse. It could reek of scotch or beer, which it has in the past. This little particular area. But regardless, heavier cup today. Hopefully I'm not... It's only when I get really excited and I start explaining things with my hands when that becomes an issue. But yeah, the weather outside here on the Treasure Coast, a little wonky. It's sunny for a second, and then it's cloudy. But the forecast says this morning the temperatures are going to be in the mid to upper 60s for the Treasure Coast and the low 70s for the Palm Beaches, and no weather worries for the morning commute. This afternoon, the highs are in the low to mid 80s with only a slim chance for an isolated shower. Tonight, the temperatures will be in the 60s to low 70s under mostly clear skies. So a nice day weather-wise in store for us. Sorry that doesn't help you, Philip. But I'm sure that it's probably in the mid-40s to 50s over the afternoon there in Tennessee. And bright and sunny, no rain, because you just aerated your yard. But yeah, I guess we'll jump right into some national days. We do have some really important news stories to get to as well. But we'll kick off the day on a lighter note with our national days. We have a few today, interesting ones. It's National Apple Betty Day, October 5th. Fall ushers in National Apple Betty Day with a sweet aroma of baked apples in cinnamon and oats. Sounds delicious. Similar to what is known as apple crisp, crumble, or cobbler, the American variant, known as the Betty or Brown Betty, dates from colonial times. Most Apple Betty recipes call for cinnamon, sugar, and butter to make the crumbs that top sliced apples. Sometimes oats or flour are added as well. As the temperature begins dropping outside, Apple Betty recipes warm the home and fill it with delicious fragrances. Apple Betty recipes also allow a child's hand to help prepare the dessert, making it a family event. The season's ideal for this treat, too. Tart apples just off the tree. Call out for autumn recipes just like these. Bye, Jordan. Jordan's taking off, so yeah, that sounds delicious. I feel like I should make some of these today. And here's for you ornery old bats out there. It's National Do Something Nice Day, where people across the nation observe a day of doing nice things, I suppose. This observance is very similar to National Random Acts of Kindness Day, which is celebrated on February 17th. It would be ideal if everyone lived their lives doing kind things on a daily basis without thinking about it. We all get caught up in our fast-paced lifestyles, however. Kindness should never be sacrificed to get ahead in the world. Kindness doesn't require grand gestures, though, when able, those are acceptable as well. In a matter of seconds, we hold the power to change the course of a person's day by being nice. The person's day in question might even be our own. Some things that that take very little time at all and almost no effort include noticing someone's signal in traffic and allowing them into your lane. I know that's a tough one for most people. I am included. What else? Picking up a neighbor's newspaper on your daily walk and placing it within easy reach. How lovely. Opening a door for another person. Giving your place in line to the person with only 3 items. Tipping your service staff an extra $1 or $2, more than you usually would. Give a compliment. Encourage a student with an idea for a solution. Read to a child. Listen to someone who is lonely. So there you go. A little list of some nice things that you could do here on National Do Something Nice Day. Today's also National Get Funky Day. That also sounds nice. Find your groove and get funky on October 5th. Turn up the energy, improve the mood, smile, laugh, and dance. Share the enthusiasm everywhere you go. This day encourages everyone to break out of their funk and get funky. We add a little spice to our everyday routine. It keeps life interesting, too. Watch your interactions between customers, coworkers, and loved ones improve. Funkiness is infectious. National Get Funky Day invites you to celebrate life, spread love, laughter, and light. Well, there you go. Get Funky Day. All right. Anything else that I've missed? Oh, yes, there's a couple more. It's National Walk to School Day. I haven't walked to school in many, many years, but here we are. It's the first Wednesday in October, and it makes a perfect time to celebrate National Walk to School Day. Not only does the day encourage getting some exercise, but the weather is perfect for walking to school, too. Walking is one of the best forms of exercise. It isn't hard on our joints and feet like running and jogging, but still gives us all the advantages. The goal of this day is to raise awareness and support for the health, community, and environmental benefits of regularly walking or biking to school. Who knew? It's National Pumpkin Seed Day. I don't know about you. I enjoy a good roasted pumpkin seed. The first Wednesday in October, it offers up the seasonal delight, National Pumpkin Seed Day. As the temperature's cool and the leaves turn, snack on these delicious tidbits. Let's see, what else? Yeah. Many of us have fond memories of roasting these delicious nuggets after carving the jack-o'-lantern. However, we never realized just how good and good for us they were. Surprisingly, pumpkin seeds have been valued for their dietary and medicinal properties for thousands of years. In fact, pumpkin seeds have been traced back as far as 7,000 BC, according to archaeologists excavating a tomb in central Mexico. There you go. What else did I miss? I think that was it. Here we go. It's National Coffee with a Cop Day. The first Wednesday in October, National Coffee with a Cop Day brings men and women in uniform together with their communities to connect over a cup of joe. This is what we love to do here. Inspired by the cliche about officers and their coffee shop donuts, the national observance encourages communities to sponsor an event that will bring citizens and those on patrol together. The event provides an opportunity for open dialogue and improved communication. They also break down barriers that create a valuable bridge to relationships in our communities. When officers hear their community's needs from the people themselves, they're better able to support them. Community as a whole will also be able to see officers as approachable and their ally in protecting and caring for their communities. A nice gesture. Get out there and have coffee with a cop today. And those are your national days. How about that? So the big story today, of course, is one of country music's legends passed away just yesterday at the age of 90 years old. We're talking about Loretta Lynn, of course, the coal miner's daughter, whose gutsy lyrics and twangy down-home vocals made her a queen of country music for nearly 7 decades. Lynn's family said in a statement that she died Tuesday in her home in Tennessee. They said, "Our precious mom, Loretta Lynn, passed away peacefully this morning in her sleep at home in her beloved ranch in Hurricane Mills." They asked for privacy as they grieve and said a memorial would be announced later. Lynn, who had no formal music training but spent hours every day singing to her babies, was known to churn out fully textured songs in a matter of minutes. She just wrote what she knew. She lived in poverty for much of her early life, began having kids by the age of 17, and spent years married to a man prone to drinking and philandering, all of which became material for her plain-spoken songs. Lynn's life was rich with experiences most country stars of the time hadn't had for themselves, but her female fans knew them immediately. She said, "So when I sing those country songs about women struggling to keep things going, you could say I've been there." She wrote in her first memoir, Coal Miner's Daughter, "Like I say, I know what it's like to be pregnant and nervous and poor." Lynn scored hits with fiery songs like Don't Come Home A-Drinkin', with Lovin' on Your Mind, and You Ain't Woman Enough to Take My Man, which topped the country charts back in 1966 and made her the first female country singer to write a #1 hit. Her songs recounted family history, skewered lousy husbands, and commiserated with women, wives, and mothers everywhere. Her Tell It Like It Is style saw tracks such as Rated X and The Pill banned from radio, even as they became beloved classics. She said, "I wasn't the first woman in country music," Lynn told Esquire in 2007. "I was just the first one to stand up there and say what I thought what life was about." So there you have it. Sail on, Loretta Lynn, a life well lived, a life to be remembered. 90 years. I'll tell you, though, 90 years is an accomplishment. I would be quite happy to make it that long. I believe even now that we are on borrowed time. But to make it all the way to 90 is quite an impressive feat. And to have a life as filled with influence as Loretta Lynn's was is really something to be cherished. Philip said his dad was born and raised near Hurricane Mills and actually played on the porch of the home when he was a kid. Loretta bought the farmhouse and turned it into the dude ranch that it is today. How fun is that? Well, yeah, that's a big story. What else do we have going on? Quite a bit of news that we'll get to. I'm going to take a quick music break and fill up my coffee cup here. When we come back, something that we've talked about numerous times, and fears come to fruition here in a tragic story that happened right here in Florida. I'll tell you all about it when we come back from the break. You're listening to Jams and Coffee here. Here's one from The Shake featuring Ricky B, who is our guest on the Jams and Cocktails podcast, just coming up tonight. So check out this song. It's called Roller Coaster. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Boys and girls of all ages, step right up and experience one of the most thrilling and thought-provoking rides you've ever seen. With the highest highs and the lowest lows, this excursion will leave you wanting so much more from life. So sit back, settle in, and enjoy a roller coaster of human emotion. And don't forget to stop by the gift shop on your way out.
20 minutes is not a long way. When you're by yourself, baby, it feels like an eternity. So I just sit and watch the world go by. Oh, I. They're always happy, they're always smiling, and in one living that single rider life. That single rider life. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Guess I'll be fine. Guess I'll be okay. I'll wait in line by myself all day. I guess I'll sit and watch the people go by. Oh, I. 'Cause 20 minutes, it's not a long way. And when you're by yourself, baby, it feels like an eternity. So I'll just sit and watch the world go by. Oh, I. Never more alone than I am right now. I'm in a crowd, but no one I know's around. They say love is a roller coaster, they're right. I'm just tired of living that single rider life. That single rider life. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Maybe one day we'll find express tickets with our name on it. Maybe one day we will ride. Split a turbo and a hot dog with some mustard on it. Holding hands while parades go by. Never more alone than I am right now. I'm in a crowd, but no one I know's around. They say love is a roller coaster, they're right. I'm just tired of living that single rider life. Never more alone than I am right now. I'm in a crowd, but no one I know's around. They say love is a roller coaster, they're right. I'm just tired of living that single rider life. That single rider life. Whoa, whoa, whoa. All right. Come on.
You're listening to the Jams and Coffee Morning Show.
Thank you, Jessica. That was The Shake featuring Ricky B, who will be our guest on the Jams and Cocktails podcast later this evening. So tune in for that. Don't want to miss that show, 8 o'clock tonight. I know you are listening to Jams and Coffee here. We're back. A crazy story. Crazy story to share with you. So here in Florida, a person has died while skydiving. Which is really quite rare in the grand scope of things. But here's the story. The DeLand Police Department said the man's parachute malfunctioned before he made a hard landing. He was declared dead at the DeLand Municipal Airport Monday just before noon. Investigations underway to determine what caused the parachute to malfunction. Now, while adventurous, skydiving is relatively safe. The United States Parachute Association recorded more than 3.57 million skydives in 2021. It says there were only 10 fatal incidents for the year. Each fatality, of course, is a heartbreak for the skydiving community, which has collectively taken steps each year to learn from these events and improve the sport, says the organization. Subsequently, better technology, improvements to equipment, and advancements in skydiver training programs have made the sport safer than ever before. But things happen. And this is a story that's going to make it even more difficult to convince the JNC crew to do a group skydive. So this might have to simmer down before before I bring it up again. But I myself have gone twice and loved it. It was one of the most freeing, adrenaline rushing experiences of my life, and I wouldn't give it up for anything. But stories like this, make it scary. So our condolences go out to the family of the person who passed away after that incident. Yeah, that's a little local news there. This one's for Jordan. This is an important story for Jordan if she's out there listening. She let me know that I forgot to push the broadcast button for JNC Radio. So thank you for tuning in there. So here's the headline. Trader Joe's finally brings back free samples. Yep, that's right. Freebies are back at the grocery store after a long pandemic hiatus. Trader Joe's brought back in-store food samples at some stores on Saturday. Shoppers posted videos and photos on TikTok, Instagram, and other social media platforms of some of Trader Joe's samples over the weekend, including granola and Halloween cookies. Trader Joe's will offer up single-serve snacks and treats for customers to nibble on, but hot coffee won't return, according to the employees at New York and California stores. Food demos will come back to some stores, but Trader Joe's won't relaunch them nationwide. Trader Joe's did not respond to requests for more information on the program. But someone said, "I'm excited. Used to get the coffee cups. The samples make everything a little bit better." That's Natasha Fisher, who runs at Trader Joe's List, an Instagram account and newsletter documenting the latest Trader Joe's finds. Free samples are a common sales tactic for many supermarkets and food and drink brands. Companies want you to have a bite at the store to get your saliva glands working as you browse around, said Paco Underhill, the founder of behavioral research and consulting firm EnviroCell, and author of How We Eat, The Brave New World of Food and Drink. This makes you a less disciplined shopper, he said. Sampling a product also slows customers down and gets them to linger a little longer in the store, increasing the chances they'll add more items to their cart. Startup food brands rely on store demos to introduce customers to their products and get their feedback. According to Yuval Selik, the CEO of Promo Mash, a company that works with brands on sample and promotion strategy, he pointed to Kavita Kombucha, Beyond Meat, and Kashi cereal as emerging brands that used samples to grow. Food brands took a hint when stores removed sample tables early in the COVID-19 pandemic back in 2020. They were slow to bring back the perk. More companies have resumed, but some of their procedures have changed to try to entice hygiene-conscious customers. Customers are likelier now to see workers stationed behind tables handing out packaged samples or in single-use cups than self-serve demos. Costco began bringing back samples in 2021, but added plexiglass stations. Contract workers hand out prepared and cooked items to customers one at a time from behind the stations. Sam's Club also brought back its Taste and Tips demo program last year. It offers everything from snacks to deli meats. At first, Taste and Tips returned on weekends and in limited quantities with sealed samples. The company works with suppliers to select and schedule demos of their items. They're often new items, which allows shoppers to sample them before they buy. Demos have long been one of our members' favorite experiences when they visit our clubs, the Sam's Club spokesperson said. Whole Foods has brought back samples, but there are some differences. The biggest change is that if a state or city has a mask mandate, Whole Foods will not have open sampling in the store and will only have packaged samples available. Since the company rolled out grocery delivery and pickup across the country during the pandemic, it's also began placing samples in some orders at select locations during different times of year. Small brands lost out when in-store samples paused, but demos are beginning to return to pre-COVID levels, according to Selik, and he expects them to increase further next year. He said, "I think 2023 is going to be huge for samples." So there you go. Trader Joe's bringing it back. One of the most stressful stores I've ever shopped in. But Jordan loves it. She loves Trader Joe's. What are you going to do? Some national news here. Sports news, if you will. The Tom Brady and Giselle saga continues. And apparently they've both hired divorce attorneys and are exploring their options regarding their marriage. And that's according to a source close to the estranged couple. CNN reported last month that Brady, a 7-time Super Bowl champion quarterback, currently plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if you didn't know. And his wife, Giselle, a fashion model, been dealing with marital issues, according to the source close to the couple. The two, who married in 2009, have been living separately. Brady, 45, had retired from the NFL in February, only to later reverse that decision. He took an 11-day leave of absence from training camp in August to deal with personal things. In an interview with Elle magazine published last month, Giselle said she had concerns about her husband returning to the field after initially retiring last winter. This is a very violent sport, and I have my children, and I would like him to be more present, Giselle told the publication. I've definitely had those conversations with him over and over again, but ultimately I feel like that everybody has to make a decision that works for them. He needs to follow his joy too. In a recent conversation on his podcast, Brady talked about some of the personal costs of playing in the NFL for 2 decades. He said, I haven't had a Christmas in 23 years, and I haven't had a Thanksgiving in 23 years. I haven't celebrated birthdays with the people I care about that are born from August to late January. I'm not able to be at funerals, and I'm not able to be at weddings, Brady said. There comes a point in your life where you say, you know what? I've had my fill, and it's enough, and it's time to go on, to move into other parts of life. So, the plot thickens for Tom Brady and Giselle. And it's a shame. You know, it's always, first of all, divorce is always difficult when there's children involved, especially young children. Not easy in general, but certainly more complicated when there's children involved. And then, the stakes are even higher when you're individually such recognizable and successful people in your own right. So they're such a power couple. I really wish them the best. I hope that they can maybe figure it out. But it begs the question, should he have stayed retired? Could this have all been avoided if he would have just stuck to his guns? And, eventually I'm sure we'll know. The story will come out. What made him change his mind? Was it more zeros at the end of that paycheck? Was it a guilt trip of some sort? I'm sure we'll learn about it in some sort of tell-all book or something. But it's up to pure speculation at the moment. But wish them the best, of course. Oh, and I have a really great story I'm going to tell you when we come back from the break. I was just talking about this yesterday or the day before. I love stories about human innovation when it comes to health and natural healing. We were just talking about the hormone to help repair the heart. I think it was yesterday. It had to have been, or the day before. They all run together to me. And this is another study that they've done that could be life-changing, and it's not a pharmaceutical. It's great. I can't wait to tell you about it, and I'm finna tell you all about it when we come back for the break. Here is one from, Sandman Sleeps. I love this tune. Don't go away. You're listening to Jams and Coffee here in the morning. I'll be right back.
Strangers outside. So did you glow? Did you knock? You vanished from my side. I see the road where the signs will light up. And I feel my feet, they're already there. I'm a tailor. side. It was start knocking into my side. Summer might come, they might carry you out on their shoulder. It might not. And I feel nothing, they're all ready there. I'm tired of your kitchen floor. So maybe thinking so hard nothing gets done. It's fine, let it off. Since this is good. And now they come and go. Wait till they This is not my body. This is not my body. This is not my body. And it's not the bounds of my beliefs. And it's not the bounds of my beliefs.
All right, we are back at Jams and Coffee here in the morning. Thank you so much for joining me over on YouTube, Facebook, or JNC Radio. I'm sorry, JNC Radio, I forgot to hit the forgot to hit the broadcast button, so you were just kind of hanging out there listening to music while this show was going on, but it's on there now. We're all good. All good. So listen, this story is amazing to me. So check this out. It's unbelievable. Researchers have successfully eradicated deadly pneumonia infections from the lungs of mice by pouring armies of swimming microbots down the rodents' windpipes. Sounds space age, sounds crazy. Stick with me. Let me tell you the story. So this unorthodox treatment, which directly targets the site of the infection, was 100% effective at curing infected mice, and it followed up. Follow-up studies show it also works in humans, could one day be used in people. So the bacteria-fighting bots are made from living microalgae that have two tails, or flagella. That's a great word for tails. Or flagella, that they use to swim through fluid mediums. Scientists covered the algae in tiny antibiotic-loaded nanoparticles, which slowly secrete the bacteria-killing chemicals throughout the lungs as the algae swim through them. In the new study, researchers infected 24 mice with the bacteria Pseudomonas aeruginosa, which causes pneumonia in a range of animals, including humans. But half of the infected mice were given a dose of microbots, and all made a full recovery within a week. The other half, who were left untreated, all died within 3 days of being infected. The experiments are a significant proof of concept for the new therapy, which could also be used on humans in the future, researchers wrote in a new paper published online on September 22nd in the Journal of Nature Materials. Based on these mouse data, we see that the microbots could potentially improve antibiotic penetration to kill bacterial pathogens and save more patients' lives. According to the study co-author, Dr. Victor Nezet, a professor of pediatrics at the University of California, San Diego. During a bacterial pneumonia infection, the invading bacteria cause inflammation in the tiny air sacs or alveoli around the lung, within and around the lung, which can also cause these sacs to fill with fluid. The inflammation and fluid can make it extremely difficult and painful to breathe. It can also trigger fevers and chills. Pneumonia can be especially dangerous for young children, old people, and patients who are already ill or immune suppressed, and that's according to the Mayo Clinic. So let's talk about targeted delivery. Currently, bacterial pneumonia patients are treated with antibiotics via an intravenous injection, which delivers the medicine directly into the patient's bloodstream, but it takes some time for the antibiotics to work their way through a patient's bloodstream to the lungs, which could be the difference between life and death for a critically ill patient. By comparison, injecting microbots through the windpipe, whereupon the allergies' swimming ability naturally spread them throughout the rest of the lungs, means that the antibiotics are accurately and quickly delivered to the site of the infection almost immediately. During IV injections, the large proportion of the antibiotics can end up going to waste, which can reduce the effectiveness of the treatments. We say with an IV injection, sometimes only a very small fraction of the antibiotics will get into the lungs, Nazette said. That's why many current antibiotic treatments for pneumonia don't work as well as needed, leading to very high mortality rates in the sickest of patients. In a separate experiment on mice, which compared microbot treatments to IV injections, IV-treated mice required a dose of antibiotics that was 3,000 times greater than the dosage given to the microbot-dosed mice. During extreme cases of pneumonia, patients are often placed on ventilators to help them breathe, and this means that many critically ill patients will already have tubes leading directly into their lungs, which could be used to deliver microbots. Suppressing the symptoms. Next topic there. In addition to being faster and more efficient than current pneumonia treatments, microbots could potentially also help accelerate recovery times for patients by alleviating inflammation as they kill off the pathogens. IV antibiotics kill off the bacteria causing the disease, but after that, the patients must wait for the inflammation to naturally recede. Inflammation can leave long-term damage behind. Even when it doesn't, it takes a long time to subside on its own. Bed rest, anti-inflammatories, and painkillers can help aid the healing process, but tackling the inflammation early on is a better strategy. The key to the microbot's anti-inflammatory effect is the nanoparticles that are stuck on to the microalgae. Antibiotic-containing capsules are covered in the cell membranes of neutrophils, a type of white blood cell that's part of the body's natural immune response. Neutrophils are designed to target inflamed cells that are covered in special structures called neutrophil extracellular traps, or nets. It's a cute name for that. These nets are able to trap and neutralize inflammatory molecules released by bacteria, which allows the microbots to mop up these nasty molecules as they swim through the lungs, hunting down pneumonia-causing bacteria. Once the microbots have killed off the pathogens, immune cells digest the microbots. As the microbots are made from completely natural materials, including a special biodegradable polymer that makes up the nanoparticles, there are no leftover chemicals that can cause any damage to the lungs. Nothing toxic is left behind, study co-author Joseph Wang, a nanoengineer at the University of California, San Diego, said in a statement. So what are the next steps? Well, a new study may only be a proof of concept, but the results show that the microbots are safe, easy, biocompatible, and long-lasting. According to Wang, the researchers will now start trials with larger animals to see if the results can be replicated, and if they are, the team hopes to eventually start human trials. The microbots' ability to swim through the body also makes them great candidates for tackling other ailments, such as stomach and blood infections, according to the researchers. So that is quite a huge advancement, in my opinion. Getting right to the source of the problem and dealing with it in a natural way that your body can then, flush out of your system relatively easy in a natural way. Unlike some pharmaceuticals that harm your organs while they're trying to process it. Fascinating stuff, man. Fascinating stuff. I love stories like that. You know that. I've said that before. So there's that. We got some celebrity birthdays for you this morning. Turning 47 years old today is Rose from the 97 classic Titanic. Kate Winslet, turning 47. She won an Academy Award for Best Actress for her role in the 2008 film The Reader, and also received Academy Award nominations for her roles in Sense and Sensibility, Titanic, Iris, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and Little Children. Celebrating their 39th birthday today, Jesse Eisenberg. Of course, best known for his Academy Award-nominated role as Mark Zuckerberg in the 2010 film The Social Network. He's also starred in the films The Squid and The Whale, Adventureland, 30 Minutes or Less, Now You See Me, Zombieland, and Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. Jesse Eisenberg, 39. Astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson, turning 64 years old today. He's attempted to bring science to the mainstream with shows like Nova, Science Now, an educational science program he hosted on PBS from 2006 to 2011. Played a major role in dismissing Pluto's classification as a planet. He hosted the 2014 science documentary series Cosmos, a space-time odyssey. And he also hosts the popular weekly radio show Star Talk. Happy birthday, Neil. American actor Scott Winger, 47, today. He's best known for providing the voice of Disney's Aladdin in the animated films and television series. He portrayed Steve Hale, DJ Tanner's boyfriend, on 2 seasons of the television show Full House, and he later reprised that role for the Netflix spinoff Fuller House. Happy birthday. Going his 75th year around the sun, Brian Johnson, the lead vocalist and songwriter for the Australian rock band AC/DC. Group known for songs like Highway to Hell and Back in Black. Of course, he took over for Bon Scott after he passed away back in the 80s. Happy birthday, Brian. Turning 39 years old today, socialite, hotel heiress, and celebutante Nikki Hilton. She started her own designer fashion lines. She's also Paris Hilton's younger sister and the great-granddaughter of Hilton Hotels founder Conrad Hilton. Happy birthday, Nikki Hilton. Guitars from one of my favorite bands ever, David Bryson, turning 61 years old today. Of course, he's the guitarist from the band Counting Crows. They, of course, had the 94 hit Mr. Jones and the 96 #1 album Recovering the Satellites. They received a 2004 Academy Award nomination for their song Accidentally in Love, which was included in the film Shrek 2. Happy birthday, David. Turning 71 years old today, Bobby Geldof, Irish singer-songwriter, actor, and political activist. He performed with the Boomtown Rats, and they had the #1 single, I Don't Like Mondays, plus a barrage of other top 40 singles. Geldof was the driving force behind Band-Aid, Live Aid, the Band-Aid and Live Aid Relief Project, of course, after seeing a BBC News report on the famine in Ethiopia. Live Aid, of course, being one of the biggest concert undertakings of all time. He also got together and co-wrote the song Do They Know It's Christmas, which featured a bunch of incredible celebrities on that track as well. So 71 years old, Bobby Geldof. And turning a whopping 79 years old today, this blew my mind. Steve Miller from the Steve Miller Band, turning 79 years old. Of course, he had the #1 hit single, The Joker, which we all know and love, but he's had also a spread of incredible hits in his very long and wonderful career. So Steve Miller, happy birthday, and that's our celebrity birthdays today. I have an interesting top 10 list here. I read through it, and was really taken back by some of these very relevant parallels that can be seen happening in American politics today. Don't worry, this isn't incredibly polarizing, but it is very interesting. So we're going to get into that because most Americans are familiar with the story of Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr. Whether through history lessons growing up or its recent theatrical remix in Lin-Manuel Miranda's The Tale of Their 1804 Duel is one of the most infamous instances of American political violence. However, it's certainly not the only time things have gone overboard in elections, campaigns, and legislative sessions. In fact, there have been several other violent political disagreements in the United States. Some happening even as recent as the last few years. Throughout history, the actions of a destructive few have gone against the spirit of democracy. Some have even led to death, and here are 10 of the most intense face-offs in American political history in the JNC Top 10. Here we go. All right, first on our list here at number 10, Connecticut's Roger Griswold and Vermont's Matthew Lyon never got along. In 1798, Lyon spat tobacco juice in Griswold's eye and accused the Federalist of being a coward. So when the Republicans spoke against the threat of war with France that year, Griswold saw his chance for revenge. Griswold supported then-President John Adams' hawkish approach to France and took Lyon to task for opposing war. In late January, the House of Representatives met to decide whether to expel Lyon for spitting in Griswold's face. Unfortunately, Griswold's Federalist backers couldn't get enough votes to remove Lyon, so the Connecticut politician tried to do it himself. On February 15th, one day after the vote failed, Griswold grabbed a hickory cane, walked up to Lyon in the chamber, and began beating the shocked politician. Lyon grabbed a nearby fire stoker to defend himself, and the fight was on. Other members of Congress rushed to pull the men apart as they beat each other mercilessly. Eventually, the men were separated. However, the awful fight was immortalized in political cartoons. The images revealed to the public the first signs of vicious partisan tension in American politics. Number 9 on our list. It just gets worse from here, folks. Number 9. When Andrew Jackson faced off against John Quincy Adams for the presidential election of 1828, bad blood had long been simmering. The two rivals had faced off 4 years earlier, with Adams winning the first race. However, historians have uncovered no shortage of shady backroom political dealing in Adams' favor the first time around. Then, when 1828 rolled around, Adams used the second campaign to spread rumors about Jackson's wife, Rachel. Oh, no. Jackson ended up winning the vote, but Rachel died before he could be inaugurated. Angered over her passing, he blamed Adams' allegations for contributing to her death. On Inauguration Day in 1829, Jackson's supporters were riled up, and they stormed the White House after he was sworn into office. Adams escaped out a back exit to avoid the angry crowd seeking revenge for their leader and his late wife. But while Adams may have been lucky to skirt away from the situation, others weren't so lucky. Socialite Margaret Smith was an eyewitness to the ugly event on that fateful January day. And she wrote to a friend about seeing men fighting at the White House. She said, "Ladies fainted, men were seen with bloody noses, and such a scene of confusion took place as is impossible to describe." Crazy. And it gets crazier still. Number 8 on our list today. The 1830s were a time of deeply partisan politics. Yep. Among other issues, Democrats believed major newspapers were slanted in favor of the rival Whig Party. Political opponents rallied against news coverage for years. Controversy over the bias reached a fever pitch in 1838. Early that year, Maine Representative Jonathan Silly delivered a speech on the floor of the House, and in it, he accused the newspaper editor John Webb of taking bribes from Whig politicians. Webb was furious at the allegation and wrote to Silly, challenging him to a duel. The journalist asked Kentucky Representative William Graves to deliver his letter. When Graves met Silly to hand him the written challenge, the Maine politician refused to take the letter. Offended by the perceived slight, Graves also challenged Silly to a duel. Frustrated with Graves' anger, Silly accepted the challenge. Despite not having any prior ill will between them, the two agreed to a shootout in February of that year. On that fateful day, both Graves and Silly missed the mark on their first two shots. The third time proved to be the charm for Graves, though. Silly was struck with a bullet from the Kentuckyman's gun and bled to death. I tell you what, we probably have less squabbling if people still settle their differences this way. Number 7 on our list here. Longtime South Carolina politician John C. Calhoun's death in 1850 should have been a cause for remembrance. Instead, it proved to be the kindling that sparked a nasty pre-Civil War feud between lawmakers. The discord began during a memorial for Calhoun. Mississippi's Henry Foote and Missouri's Thomas Hart Benton started yelling insults at each other. Violence didn't break out, but Vice President Millard Fillmore was alarmed by the tensions. April 3rd, Fillmore issued a warning to the chamber. A slight attack or even insinuation of a personal character often provokes a more severe retort, which brings out a more disorderly reply, each senator feeling a justification in the previous aggression. Well, 2 weeks later, Foote and Benton argued in the Senate again, and during the spat, Benton moved toward Foote. Believing himself to be in danger, the Mississippi senator pulled out a pistol and pointed it at Benton. Thankfully, cooler heads prevailed. Other senators convinced Foote to put down the gun, and he did so, and then were separated without any bloodshed. Nobody was hurt that day, though the visceral partisan hate that would lead to the Civil War was only just beginning. Hope everybody's taking notes. History has a tendency to teach us lessons and repeat itself. Number 6 on our list. David Terry and David Broderick were part of the same political party, yet still found a way to fall into violence. The men were both California Democrats in the 1850s, but on opposite sides of the slavery issue. Terry, the Chief Justice of the California State Supreme Court, was in favor of slavery and wanted California admitted to the Union as a slave state. Broderick, on the other hand, a state senator, believed California should be a free state. Their friendship fell apart as their public disagreement deepened ahead of the Civil War. Then in 1859, Terry lost re-election for his spot on the state Supreme Court. Enraged at the loss, Terry blamed Broderick's anti-slavery agitation for the failure. In a speech after the campaign, the pro-slavery politician insulted his former friend. Broderick replied with his own public insults against Terry, and the fight was on. Terry challenged Broderick to a duel. On September 13, 1859, the men met their fate. Broderick won a coin toss to choose the position, but in turn, Terry got to choose the weapons. Terry's choice proved fateful. He picked pistols that were unfamiliar to Broderick. When the abolitionist's gun misfired, Terry's didn't, and Broderick was struck down by a bullet. The anti-slavery politician died a hero for his cause. Meanwhile, Terry fled California to fight for the Confederacy in the Civil War. Yeah, Philip says, put the gloves on and let them politicians fight out their wants and needs. It's a different time. Some will say it's more civilized now than it was. I don't know. It's hard to wrap your head around. Number 5 on our list here. In 1856, just a few years ago, Massachusetts Senator Charles Sumner delivered one of the most divisive speeches in Senate history. On the floor in front of the entire gallery, Sumner slammed South Carolina Senator Andrew Butler over the issue of slavery in southern states. Sumner, an abolitionist, used his speech to warn against admitting Kansas to the Union as a slave state. He then accused Butler of having a mistress ugly to others, who was chaste in his sight. I mean the harlot, slavery. Butler was not present in the Senate that day, but others were shocked at the provocative speech. 3 days later, South Carolina Representative Preston Brooks, who was also Butler's cousin, heard about the speech. The angry congressman rushed into the Senate and attacked Sumner with a metal-tipped cane. Brooks beat Sumner over the head until he fell, striking him for over a minute before leaving the senator bloodied and nearly unconscious. Finally, Brooks left the chamber. Other stunned senators rushed Sumner to a doctor. Brooks was censured in the Senate and resigned from the House of Representatives. However, citizens in South Carolina were buoyed by his violent act and reelected him. He died in 1857, though, after a sudden bout with croup. That's some ancient thing that was probably cured by penicillin. As for Sumner, he ended up serving 3 more terms in the Senate, and today historians recognize the caning of Charles Sumner as one of the key moments that pushed the country into the bloody Civil War. Rough stuff, guys. Number 4 here. 4 years after the caning of Charles Sumner, another violent disagreement in Congress pushed the country further towards civil war. In 1860, Illinois' Owen Lovejoy was debating the ethics of slavery with Virginia's Roger Pryor. Lovejoy, an abolitionist, was arguing against the practice when the Southern congressman jumped up and waved his fist in the man's face. Enraged at the show of disrespect, Wisconsin member John Fox Potter began screaming at Pryor. Pro-slavery congressman accused Potter of interfering with the debate. Pryor then challenged Potter to, you might have guessed, a duel, which was a normal practice at the time, clearly. Potter accepted the offer, but upped the ante. He would only fight if both men engaged in hand-to-hand combat with Bowie knives. Shocked at the grisly challenge, Pryor backed down. Potter's vicious defense of abolition and Lovejoy immediately won him fame, while Pryor's retreat earned scorn. Potter's colleagues nicknamed him Bowie Knife. Admirers from across the country mailed Bowie knives to the Republican. He was even presented with a 7-foot ceremonial knife inscribed with the pun, to John Fox Potter, who will always meet a Pryor engagement. Funny. While the challenge earned Potter fame and respect, it also hastened the country's descent into war. Number 3, if you thought that was all for Bowie Knife Potter, you were wrong. Kansas's admission to the Union was one of many factors leading to the Civil War. Southern politicians demanded the Jayhawk state allow slavery upon its admission. Northern abolitionists wanted Kansas to be a free state. Disagreements over the issue soon led to violent actions. 1858, the House of Representatives was debating the question of Kansas when Pennsylvania Republican Galusha Grow and South Carolina Democrat Lawrence Keat began yelling insults at each other. The two men were overcome by their emotions and started to fight. And sadly, dozens of other members of Congress joined the fray. Soon, the chamber descended into a violent brawl. More than 30 members of the House began throwing punches. Police were called, but the threat of arrest didn't deter them. Then Potter ended things in a way nobody expected. Along with fellow Wisconsin Representative Cadwallader Washburn, Potter snatched the toupee off the top of Mississippi Representative William Blaisdell's head. Blaisdell was shocked by the theft, and the rest of the House members were too. Fistfighting quickly devolved into laughing, and men from both parties paused their attacks to make fun of Barksdale's newly bald head. A lull in fighting allowed the sergeant-at-arms to separate the combatants, and the brawl ended. That's what I'm talking about. You could disagree and have fights, but like there has to be, when levity comes to play, that's why comedy is so important as a forum and should not be censored, in my opinion, at all, because it really allows people to see the light side of really, really heavy situations like that. Number 2 on our list. In 1886, Indiana Governor Isaac P. Gray was expected to fill a vacated U.S. Senate seat. So the state's General Assembly held a vote to replace the Democrat and his lieutenant governor. Everyone expected Senate President Alonzo G. Smith, another Democrat, to win. But Smith didn't win. Instead, Republican Robert S. Robertson unexpectedly won the vote for lieutenant governor. Bitter over the results, Indiana General Assembly members tried to thwart Robertson's attempt to take office for weeks. February 23, 1887, the Indiana Supreme Court ruled in Robertson's favor. The next day, the Republican walked into the state capitol and demanded his seat. Amid a furor in the chamber, a doorkeeper grabbed Robertson by the throat. Local news accounts claim the man threw Robertson some 15 or 20 feet from the steps. Angered by his loss, Smith ordered other attendants to remove Robertson from the building. Pushing and shoving led to fighting between factions. Robertson made a speech to his supporters outside, leading to another altercation. And finally, Robertson was seated. Ultimately, he got his own revenge of sorts when Gray ended up getting passed over for the U.S. Senate vacancy. Violent upheaval had long-term consequences, too. It was one of several events that led to the passing of the 17th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, calling for the direct election of senators by the public. So we get to enjoy that at least today. And finally, number 1 here on our list, John McLaurin became South Carolina's junior senator in 1896. His election was in no small part thanks to fellow Democrat Benjamin R. Tillman. Tillman was the Palmetto State's senior senator and former governor and was McLaurin's longtime mentor. Once sworn in, though, McLaurin began to turn away from his patron. On February 22, 1902, the Senate was debating a treaty to annex the Philippines when Tillman spoke on the floor. He used his time to launch into a vicious speech, accusing McLaurin of having been corrupted by improper influences. McLaurin was not present at the speech, but the junior senator soon heard about Tillman's words and rushed into the chamber. Once there, McLaurin accused Tillman of a malicious and deliberate lie. Incensed, the elder senator rushed at his former protege and started throwing punches. In his rage, Tillman struck McLaurin and several other senators who were trying to separate the men. Hours later, the Senate held a closed session meant for the two former friends to apologize. The reconciliation attempt backfired, and McLaurin and Tillman nearly fought again. 6 days later, the Senate censured both men. McLaurin's political career wrapped later that year when he lost a re-election bid. And for the rest of their days, the men never reconciled. And the moral of this story is politics is vicious. The politics is a vicious business, and I stress that it is business. Some will argue that it's a public service, but it's not. In many cases, it's a power trip. In most cases, a representative will go in penniless and come out a billionaire. So, keep your eyes open, folks. Be sure that you know who you're electing. Although important, and you should get out there and vote, the truth of the matter is, really, really pay attention. Don't just blindly go down and fill in one side of circles because the news tells you so, or you're seeing red so viciously that all you want to do is lop everything over to the side. There should be debate. There should be challenges. And representatives of various ideologies should be able to come together and have a conversation that best suits all American citizens, and the world as a whole. Really, if you tip something so heavily to one side, you're not going to like the results. I promise you that. That's my word that I'll give to you. So just be conscious. People are people for a reason. So vote for the person, not necessarily just the ideology they represent, because it can go a lot further. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that. But I thought that was a fun article. It just shows that, when people are saying, oh, politics are so polarized today, it's never been like this. The truth is it's been worse. If anything, it's more civilized. The slants and the slights are more civilized today than they've ever been. They're certainly not out there dueling on the White House lawn. So just remember that and do your part and get out there and vote, regardless of your ideology. I'm not here to sway you one way or another, but it is your civic duty to get out there and fill out a ballot. With that being said, I think that almost wraps up the show. I got a few shameless plugs. Of course, the most important is tonight, the Jams and Cocktails live podcast, 8 p.m. Eastern. Wherever you're watching or listening to this show is where you can see the show tonight. We have Ricky B from The Shake in the house. He's going to be performing live, so there'll be, I know it's a rarity these days, but there'll be live music here on the show on Jams and Cocktails tonight. Ricky is an incredible loop artist. If you don't know what looping is, it's where musicians have a series of pedals that record a snippet of whatever they're playing and puts it in a continuous loop. So what musicians will do is they'll build these layers of a song with the various loops and then perform the song. And it's amazing to watch the process of the loops build. And what Ricky does is so incredible. I'll let him explain it more on the show. But he does these great mashups of popular tunes. And, of course, he's got a whole realm of great original music. And they just got back from a tour, so I'm excited to hear about their tour and all the shenanigans I'm sure that went on during that. So tune in tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube, Facebook, and JNC Radio. There's that. You can listen to JNC Radio on the Live365 Radio App. It's completely free and available anywhere that you get your apps from. Just get in there and search for JNC Radio. It'll pop right up. Let's see. What else? Of course, check out Drums and Rums. I know it's been a minute. Paul's been very preoccupied with the weather, which sounds ridiculous, but it's a very important job he has out there being Batman, Weather Batman. So keep on the lookout for more drums and new Drums and Rums drops and live streams. I'm sure they'll be starting up relatively soon again. Check out all the things that he's got going on at drumsandrums.com and check out all the things that we've got going on at jncpodcast.com. You can find links to everything, our YouTube, our Facebook, all that stuff right there at jncpodcast.com. It's a great epicenter of all the stuff that we're doing. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've had some pretty good momentum. We're certainly not getting hundreds of thousands of subscribers a day, but we are. It is moving in the right direction. So keep doing what you're doing out there. I love it. And please subscribe and have your friends do so as well. What else? Check out our friends at Code Rum. Hop Life Brewing, the Sneaky Tiki in downtown Stewart, is a great spot to hang out. If you like that laid-back Key West style. And that's it. Otherwise, I think I'm going to see you guys tonight. I hope to see you guys tonight. That would be awesome. But until this evening, enjoy your Wednesday. Whatever you're doing, do it with a smile. Be kind to others because that's the national day today. I'm Brad, and I'll see you tonight and tomorrow morning. Take care, you guys. Bye.
Tune in again tomorrow morning for the latest local buzz, national headlines, music news, and more on JNC in the Morning, right here on Facebook and YouTube.